Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite themes in fiction, which is sibling, especially sister relationships. I love books that feature sister relationships, especially when they're positive sister relationships, in part because I have a really good relationship with my sisters. I am the oldest of 4 children. I have 2 sisters and 1 brother, and we're a really close knit family. And while I might talk about the sister-brother relationship at a later point, today I want to talk about just those sister-sister relationships in fiction books that I own or that I've read in recent years. So the first one that really inspired this video is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book mainly focuses obviously on the romantic relationship between Chloe and Red. However, I was just really touched by the way that Chloe's sisters rally around her, the way they support her, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that in the books in this series. I do have, what is it? Get a clue, Danny Brown? Danny is Chloe's sister, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the sisters in that book. So that's a really cute, lovely, kind of sister relationships that are modeled in this book. The next book I want to talk about is Clap When You Land by Acevedo. This is a book in verse, and when we meet the sisters, they don't know that the other one exists. So it's a more troubled sister relationship, but when they find out about each other and they come together, they start developing those sister bonds, and I really loved seeing that because you see kind of the work that it takes to develop and maintain bonds with your siblings, and specifically with a sister, especially in this setting in which neither one of them knew that the other one existed. So it comes with a lot of baggage, but that it's not impossible to build those lasting bonds, even though it's blood that is really tying you together, and otherwise you might not know about each other. I just loved seeing them develop their relationship in this book. And Acevedo is just such a master storyteller that I highly, highly recommend Clap When You Land. Even if you're not into YA or books told in verse, if you don't like reading verse, listen to the audiobook because it is at least partially narrated by Elizabeth Acevedo, and the way she performs her own work is just fantastic. The next book that I have here is Oh My Gods by Alexandra Sheppard. In this book, our main character has a bunch of siblings because her dad is Zeus. And in fact, she lives with her older sister Aphrodite, who is a makeup guru and is just the height of fashion and beauty, as one would expect Aphrodite to be. So this was actually a really funny, cute take on the sister-sister relationship because it's seen from the point of view of the younger sister, and seeing how you can look at the older sister with kind of both a lot of reverence and also a lot of resentment, oh my God, how will I ever live up to the expectations and the bars that are being set by the older sibling. As I said, I'm the oldest, so that was not my experience growing up. So it was quite cute seeing it from that perspective, and it helps me understand my 2 younger sisters a little bit. The next book that features sisters is Labyrinth Lost. So we don't see a ton of the sister-sister relationship, but from what we can tell in this story, this is a really bonded family, Latinx family. I loved seeing that because my family's like that too. And while I like reading stories where there's conflict in the family, that's not always the story in my family. We're so close-knit, and while we might have conflict within the family, it's never that horrible the way you see in some of these very grim books. So it was just lovely to see a close-knit family dealing with issues and dealing with it together. This is the first book in the Brooklyn Bruja series, and the second book is out. I have it. I need to get to it. And the third book is coming out soon, so I need to get on it. The next sister relationship is in Blanca and Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. McLemore is a writer who writes in very flowery, beautiful prose. So it's a little bit hard for me because that's not my preference. But in Blanca and Roja, you have two sisters. It's based on the myth that like one of them is gonna turn into a swan and like leave. They don't know which one, but they've grown up with everybody assuming it's one of them, right? Assuming that the one sister is going to be the one chosen to become a swan. And so when you grow up with these expectations based on how you look, how you act, like that becomes part of who you are. And I see it even in my family, right? I'm the oldest, so I'm the responsible one, I'm the good one. And that carries a burden, not just on me, but like on the rest of the family, of like, hey, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not the good one. It doesn't matter how smart you are, you're not the smart one, right? And so Blanca and Roja really spoke to me about those themes. The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasante is another book that features a really, really tight relationship between two sisters. This one, the bond is really created out of going through trauma, and you see how an older sister can take on the world for the younger sister to the point where she's willing to agree to like being experimented on for the sake of her younger sister. She's really doing it out of selfless reasons. She's also going to be benefiting, but she's also going to be going through the experimentation herself, and it causes a lot of trauma. But her motivation, the motivation of the oldest sister in this story, is always like her family, her especially the youngest sister, who she feels she must protect at all cost. And like, it's a beautiful story for that. It's a beautiful story for the way it talks about PTSD and depression, and it's just beautiful. The Grief Keeper, I really, really loved that book, and I was especially touched by the way that the sibling sister relationship is depicted in it. Next, we finally have here a very negative kind of sister relationship. In Like Water for Chocolate, we have two sisters, but they have a terrible relationship with one another because of jealousy. And this is the problem of family dynamics in which siblings are pit against each other. Right? And the Mexican family featured in Like Water for Chocolate is a very rigid family. The youngest daughter is expected to stay home and take care of the mother. As a result, then, it's only the oldest daughter that can marry. And the youngest daughter here, named Tita, is the one that falls in love first. And the man she loves asks for her hand in marriage, and what the mom responds is, no, you can have the other daughter. And like, how messed up is that? It's so messed up. And so as a result, then, the whole relationship between the two sisters in this book is just, it can never be repaired, right? So that is a more tragic side of the sister-sister bond. Another one that is, the bond is not tragic, but what results out of that is tragic. Is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Sadie's a very dark story. Lots of content warnings here for pedophilia, violence, and like a bunch of horrible things. And part of the story is we're following Sadie as she is trying to get revenge for herself and for her sister. It's just, to me, it's again speaks to the power of those sibling relationships and the lengths to which an older sister will go to for revenge. And it's sad and it's tragic, but it also speaks to the power of those sister relationships. And then the last book I want to talk about is a book that my youngest sister currently has in her bookshelf. You better have read it, Maricela. It's My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. And the premise of this book is just fantastic. It's that one of the sisters is a serial killer, and the other one basically enables that violence and helps the serial killer's sister hide her murders. And you know what? Like, I could help my sisters do that. Yeah, I think so. Especially if it was justified. If it was totally unjustified murder, I would turn them in and go visit them in jail every day, or every day that I could. But if it was justified, I might help her hide the murders. In fact, whenever I feel like murdering someone, usually what I do is I text one of my sisters and I tell them that they better come get me out of jail once I am caught for having killed whoever I want to murder. Is that bad? I don't actually want to murder anyone. Like, I would never actually do it. I'm pretty much a pacifist. But, you know, sometimes people get really your nerves. And I watch a lot of true crime and television shows about serial killers. So, you know, it's something that's sometimes on my mind. This got really grim, and I feel like I'm revealing too much information about myself. But I do watch a lot of true crime. I read a lot of stuff about serial killers. So from time to time, I think about how I would commit murder, but I would never do it. Guys, please don't turn me in if you ever think that I'm involved in something. I would never actually do it. But I would think about helping my sister cover it up, and I would hope that they would help me cover it up, because if I killed someone, it's probably justified. All right, that is it for me. Let me know what books you have read that feature sister-sister relationships, whether good or bad. I think I'm drawn to the stories about those powerful emotions that are created by blood bonds and by the bond of having grown up together and having that history together. Those relationships can sometimes be extremely toxic, but sometimes it can be really wonderful. And those are the kinds of bonds that I hope that I have been developing with my sisters. And I love seeing it in books. So give me all your sibling book recommendations down below. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.